Good evening, cult members, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to the Pop Culture Cult, our weekly show of
pop culture cultness.
And of cult and pop, and sometimes we do some culture things. We haven't done a show in 3 weeks?
Yeah,
2 weeks? 3 weeks?
3
weeks.
Yeah.
I think 3 weeks. We went on a well-deserved, very short 6-day extravaganza to Las Vegas.
That was very short, was it?
Well, by the time we left, we were ready to stay a couple more days.
Right. Because we started winning the last 4 hours we were there. So
it's an successful trip to Las Vegas when you bring home the money that you took to spend.
yes.
That is a very successful trip, and then we also brought home the summer cold.
Yes. Which I'm going to try very hard not to sneeze right now.
Sneeze or cough or whatever, but we're both getting over it, and it's I don't like being sick as it is, period, but summer colds are just somehow worse.
Sure. I just don't like colds, period.
Yeah,
'cause I can't take any of the medicine.
And she very rarely takes time off for sickness, quote unquote. And she did on this one. And yeah, I kicked both of our tails for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And you'll probably hear it kind of coming out with us. But we're back. We're getting back into the swing of things. And so we're going to catch up on a bunch of news that's happened. Some of this is going to be maybe a week old or stuff, but it was stuff that we want to talk about. And then we have 3 reviews to do, which we'll probably do those 3 reviews after the break.
After the break.
So here we go. Let's start with the first one. And the reason I'm starting here is because we have been, if you go back and listen to a bunch of our old shows, which you probably should be doing anyways, is we were big proponents of the Moviepass.
Yeah.
The idea of being able to see one movie a day and the $10 a month. And we knew that the business model itself was
unsustainable.
Not great. But for us, it just made a lot of sense. And we saw it really got us in the mode of going to see more and more and more movies in the theater.
Yeah. We tended to, unless it was something big like Avengers or, something like that, we tended to wait on a lot of stuff till it came out to Redbox, which I was thinking about the other day. I don't remember the last time we went to Redbox because we've seen everything.
Here we go. It's totally true. Because we're going to see stuff that we probably wouldn't normally see in the theater because of the AMC A-list is what they call it. And so we the A-list came out of what happened with the Moviepass.
Right.
And it was their counter because they were fighting with Moviepass, and we had to do 3 movies a week, and it's $20 a month, and you could order online. It's been really good. Well, on Friday morning, they announced that as of Friday, Moviepass would no longer be open for business.
Right. And I don't know if this has changed, but when I originally read it, it was maybe temporary, maybe permanent. They just didn't know. Basically, they had run out of money and they were looking for financiers.
That's how I read the article too. And they were never saying never, but it didn't look good from where they were currently sitting about getting new revenue streams and stuff like that. And I think that the idea of what Moviepass was and is trying to be is really cool. Like the idea of a, for lack of a better term, subscription-based service to go to the movie theater and see movies.
Right. The premise makes total sense.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the guy who started Moviepass. I don't remember his name, but his he came on Screen Junkies a couple times, and his whole thing was, all I want is for people to go watch movies and have the experience that the people who created the movies and acted in the movies and all of that, the experience that they intended, and not waiting for it to come out and watch it on your TV.
Right.
That was all he wanted. He wanted, people that couldn't afford to go to the movies anymore.
Well, he didn't want to make money, or he wouldn't have started the company.
Yeah, but not at $10 a month.
No.
You're no. And so I think, as far as that goes, he was successful because AMC has a very successful, their A-list is, from what I can tell, very successful. We'll go to a movie on a Wednesday and the theater's packed.
Yeah. And movies that won't normally be packed on a Wednesday.
Right. In the middle of the week, middle of the school year.
Right.
Like when we first started going with Moviepass, there'd be like 20 people there total, and now there's a line at the concession stand.
I went and saw Pacific Rim Uprising while you were in Sacramento for business
California,
trip.
yeah.
For California for business trip. And I went on the Moviepass to a Regal. It was right after we had gotten it. And I'm like, I'm home by myself all week. I'm going to go see Pacific Rim. And not that she wouldn't go see it, but, I'll go see giant robots fight each other.
Yeah.
And there was me and another couple in the entire theater.
Yeah.
We went and saw Peanut Butter Falcon
Yeah.
on last week. And the theater, although it wasn't one of the small to medium-sized theaters, it was pretty full.
Yeah, it was a medium size.
Yeah.
It wasn't the smallest ones
Yeah.
they have. And it was pretty full.
And I think that is directly because of the A-list.
Yeah. And Regal has a list type thing now, and Cinemark has an A-list.
Cinemark's is a hot mess.
Yeah, Regal's isn't much better, but the only one here, local, is Harkin. Now, AMC is countrywide, national, but Harkin is a local movie theater, and they're the only ones that haven't jumped on the bandwagon.
Harkin's just got to where they convinced, is it Dan Harkin?
Dan Harkin, yeah.
To put bars in the lobby.
Yeah. And a lot of their theaters are still converting over to recliners.
Yeah, recliners and better film quality and sound quality and stuff like that.
It's like, how does anybody still go to this movie theater?
I would love to support a local. Dan Harkin's from Scottsdale. I would love to support those, but the Dolby Theater is ruining me on movies.
Yeah.
Like, we have a Flicks Brew House that's like a 2-minute walk from our apartment.
Yeah.
And it's really convenient, and I kind of like it's kind of like an Alamo Draft House. Apparently, we're going to talk about movie theaters in this story. But I like the convenience of that, but the picture and the sound quality is hot garbage.
Yeah.
And we went to an Alamo Draft House last week to see a documentary about our favorite one of our favorite bands, and the sound quality, even though we were in a really shitty seats, the sound quality was good and the picture quality was really good.
Yeah.
And
the lighting in there is, because they serve you food and drinks throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. They have to kind of keep the lights up a little bit, or they've got like ambient lights in the floors and stuff. And at Alamo, it was way darker than Flicks.
Yeah,
Flicks
it was
is
way
still
better.
Pretty bright.
Welcome to Pop Culture Cult Theater Talk, where all the best theaters are to go.
But we're spitballing here.
This is hashtag that's the show, to steal from Collider Live. But with the Moviepass, it really, like, I love the movie going process. I like going to the movie. I like sitting in a big giant room, a dark room with a bunch of other people who are all excited about the movie. I want the big surround sound. So, but when they announced Moviepass, we had a long talk about it. Like, we knew that it wasn't going to be a long-term thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't sustainable.
But it wasn't sustainable. But I think it just got us in the mode of doing stuff. And I hope they get something figured out. I hope they learn from what they're doing, or they have a better business a better business acumen, I think, is what they need from their leadership.
Yeah, I don't know that it works anymore.
As a third party, no.
As a third party, right. As a movie theater who is going to turn around and make money on concessions. I mean, we go twice a week is pretty much our max. And sometimes we buy stuff there, and sometimes we contraband some water bottles in. But like I said, on a Wednesday or Thursday, the line at the concession stand is long, and we all know that a large soda does not cost $5. So they're definitely, and a large popcorn doesn't cost 10. So they're definitely making some money off of that. And if you go, again, I don't think movies cost $15 a person to put on anymore either.
Yeah,
so.
It's kind of hard because even when we go to book our movies for the A-list, like the Dolby Theater is like $15, but the smaller theaters are like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And so I guess it just depends on the theater, like the theater you're in and the movie itself. And I know Endgame was like 15 or $16, but we have the A-list, and so I saw it 18 times in the theater, and probably 17 times since we bought it on Blu-ray. All right, we're gonna move on from the. So, R.I.P. Moviepass. We hope you get it figured out, and
but thank you for changing the industry.
Thank you for changing the industry. That's what I was kind of trying to go to was because what you did, it forced everybody's hand, much like what Netflix is doing.
Yeah.
And forcing Disney's hand and CBS All Access and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm actually wasn't going to talk about that, but I'll just scroll down here to the bottom because I have notes on this. Speaking of Netflix and the streaming wars that are going on, they announced today that they spent $500 million for the global rights to Seinfeld.
Yes.
Seinfeld was previously on Hulu. Their contract came to an end, and Netflix came in. And the big thing about this is the deal is actually done with Hulu by 2021. So it's going to be a while. So it's not like, next week you're going to be able to get Seinfeld.
Okay.
And this is kind of a replacement for Friends and The Office because
Right.
those are going to Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever ends up happening with that whole thing.
Right.
But the big thing about this deal was that this actually is global rights. Netflix is going to be able to stream Seinfeld all over the world.
Right.
They could only do the U.S. market for Friends and The Office.
Right. So how does that work? Is it dubbed? Is it in captioning?
It probably isn't captioning, but I wouldn't be surprised if they dubbed it in French, because French is a big language outside the States.
Yeah.
Or Spanish, that kind of thing.
I'd like to see Friends or Seinfeld dubbed.
I would too.
I want to see Kramer
I want the no Pepsi Coke soup Nazi guy in French because I just think that would be amazing. Or in what's Icelandic?
Oh, Jesus!
It's like
they'd have to run an extra 20 minutes just to because the words are this long.
But because of the streaming wars and what we're talking about there, that they got the streaming rights to that, and it fills in this big gap for Netflix because they were kind of starting to lose a little bit with everything that's going on with Disney Plus and the merger and everything like that.
Yeah.
And with the Fox merger, I did see something. I didn't put this in the notes, and it just popped in my head because Apple Plus TV is coming, and they're doing like what CBS All Access did, which they have 2 or 3 small shows that are coming out, one big show, and then they're going to have access to a bunch of other things and stuff like that.
Right.
One of the things I read, though, that was actually the next article, and you read this article, read this one.
Right.
And so I kind of went down a rabbit hole, and in that one, Sony's in discussions, or Apple is in discussions to buy Sony. It's preliminary, just rumors, all that kind of stuff. Which would be kind of what Disney did with Fox. It's kind of the same level of stuff. Yeah. And it's also, Apple trying to broaden out from the iPhones and stuff like that.
Yeah, the difference is Apple is an entertainment company.
Right, but the big thing in that whole thing was, dun, 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 if Sony is sold to Apple, the Spider-Man rights all revert back to Marvel.
Oh.
So if Sony sells to anyone and don't do stuff on their own, all the rights to Spider-Man and all of his gallery of bad guys go back to Marvel.
Huh.
Dun, dun, dun. This is what happens when you start reading.
Aw, look at you. So proud.
It's a thing. Let's talk about casting news. We're going to talk about the one that came out last week first. James Gunn is going to do the Suicide Squad. All the drama that happened with Guardians 3 and him being fired and being rehired, and in that time frame, he signed on to DC, and now there's rumors that him and J.J. Abrams are going to run the DC universe. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but, it's the internet, so everybody's running with it. But on Friday, he announced the official cast list. And instead of having it all be rumors,
right,
he officially announced it.
Right.
There's
basically anybody who's in Hollywood is in this movie.
Right. There's 865 people on this list. I'm not kidding. We're getting Margot Robbie back, Viola Davis back, Joel Kinnaman, who played Rick Flag, back, and we're getting Jai Courtney back, who's played Captain Boomerang.
Right.
We don't get Will Smith back and Diablo, King Shark. We're getting King Shark. We're not getting Crocodile Man. I don't remember what. Anyways, so we got those 4 coming back. We're getting Idris Elba, who's not playing Deathshot. Deadshot. Deathstroke. Deadshot. It's been a long day in football. Deathstroke. Idris Elba's. I don't care. Idris Elba's in it.
Right.
And then, of course, Michael Rooker's in it. James Gunn is doing a movie.
Right.
Michael Rooker's going to be in it.
Right. And
so
brother.
So is Sean Gunn.
Yeah.
But some other names that I found interesting in this list. David Dastmalchian is in this, which is really cool. David Dastmalchian is the Russian hacker guy in Ant-Man.
Oh, right.
And he's also the mental patient
Batman.
in Batman.
Yeah.
And he's a super nerd, like a super comic book nerd.
Oh.
Like he wrote his own comic.
Oh.
Yeah, he's that kind of guy. So he's in this. John Cena is in this. Nathan Fillion is in this. Peter Capaldi is in this. Taika Waititi is in it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and that's not
even like everybody, like
still
Storm Reed, Peter Davison, Mylan Yin, Juan Diego Bato. There's a ton. Jennifer Holland, is that Tom
Holland's sister?
I don't know. I know that he also cast his girlfriend to be in the movie and stuff too, and so she's an actress, so it's not like it's a big, it's not like a big stretch or anything like that.
Just stand there and look pretty, sweetie. He
just wants to get laid, and I'm not gonna blame him. But the big thing about all this list is gigantic, and there's a logo, first kind of logo for it and everything.
Yeah.
But the caption on the post was, "Do not get attached." It's the Suicide Squad. Most everyone is going to die.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to do this, but I really liked the Belko experiment.
Yeah.
And how bloody and kind of crazy that was, and everybody dies in that freaking movie. And he has horror background,
right?
So I kind of want this to be a hard PG-13, almost horror kind of.
All right.
Death and mayhem everywhere. If we're going to do the Suicide Squad,
Yeah. I was going to ask if they had decided on a rating they were shooting for, but
I haven't seen anything. That doesn't mean that they haven't said anything, but they haven't said anything publicly yet. Jock Courtney was on Collider Live last week, Captain Boomerang, and he was promoting Semper Fi, which is this movie that was going in demand and in the theaters and stuff like that. And he's promoting that, and then they asked him about the Suicide Squad, and this time when he was in, he's like, "Oh yeah, we're about ready to get going and stuff," and I leave Sunday to go start filming.
Yeah. They
announced this on Friday.
On Friday, okay.
And then on Saturday or Sunday morning, Jai posted a picture, and he's got the gold tooth in like he did for the first one.
Yeah.
So he's like, here we go. So they're starting the film. So that comes out 2021, I think. Somewhere 2021 is when that's supposed to come out. So very interesting. Let's talk about the other casting news. This is maybe a week or so old. Where did it go? It's right there. We've been talking up the Stand series that's coming to CBS All Access, and a lot of the casting we've kind of already talked about: James Marsden, Amber Heard, Greg Kinnear, that kind of stuff. But we had been wondering who they were going to bring in for for Randall Flagg,
right?
And we wanted it to be Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, well, because Matthew McConaughey he has always been our pick for Randall Flagg, and then they used him in the Dark Tower movie,
which we still haven't seen, so we can't be too overcritical. But everybody,
I refuse.
She refuses. I'm still interested. I might just have to see if it's on Netflix and stream it at work or something, whatever. I'll put it in the background so I'm not watching it the whole time as I'm driving around. So we've been talking about who, if it's not going to be McConaughey, who's going to be. We throw a bunch of different names, and one of the names that never crossed our mind was Alexander Skarsgård. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah,
perfect fit.
Yep.
And just that
the Skarsgård family needs to be in every Stephen King adaptation. There's my decree.
I'm not opposed. Their dad just got done
Daddy
doing
Skarsgård.
just got done doing Dune, and he was talking about how Denis Villeneuve. So I'm just like he should have been in Pet Sematary.
Yeah,
that would have been as the dad in Pet Sematary.
No, not the dad. The dad's young. They're all young.
No. The
older guy.
The older guy, yeah.
No, he's got to be sometimes dead is better. He's got to be
that's true.
Maine backwater.
He's
too suave and
he's too English, or he's too European, and he's not English, Scandinavian. But with Alexander Skarsgård, now we have the full cast, and they'll get filming on this pretty soon.
Yeah.
Then
we're forced to get CBS.
We're going to have to get CBS All Access. I wonder if we can get like a 60-day trial issue, since we haven't signed up for it yet, or like the Hulu, the 1-year Hulu.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
We get something.
We got a year's subscription to Hulu for 99 cents a month because we'd never had Hulu before, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, and we're kind of going back and forth. We're gonna keep Hulu.
Well, but it's part of
the Disney Plus stuff
package,
so
we'll probably just roll it into that.
The ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu Plus. We'll get that all as one package.
Yep. Sorry, I just read the notes. So Brad William Henke, Orange is the New Black. Is that Porn Stash?
I didn't watch the show, so I looked up a couple.
As Tom Collin? All right, I'll have to look that up later.
The other thing that's the Whoopi Goldberg as Mother Abigail is also perfect casting. It's like perfect casting.
Yes.
She's essentially Gaiden in the swamps. But the thing about that I was reading about this is they're adapting the book, and it's gonna be 10 episodes.
Right.
Which is if you're going to do the Stand, it's 7 inches thick.
It is thicker than it.
It's
and
right.
People are complaining about it.
And it's dense. There's a lot of information going on because there's 15 million people in the show or in the book. But they're doing it over 10 episodes. The big thing is that Steven is actually involved in the process. He's actually on the writing staff, and he wrote the 10th and final episode. So he's going to change the way it ends, I'm assuming. It's a new coda to the story that wasn't part of the author's novel. So I feel a little bit better about him doing it. I know exactly what you're laughing at because we're going to talk about that part in that movie in a minute.
No, I was thinking he's very much against Trump. I was just thinking, is he going to
that's a good point.
Make
that's
it
a good
some
point.
sort of political
thingy, whatever.
Yeah.
But I just I find it interesting that they're allowing him to be part of that there. So
no, I think that's great.
The last little thing we're going to talk about before we go to break, one of our favorite shows of all time is this little show called Long Way Around. And it is about Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman. Now, Ewan McGregor, if you're watching the show,
you better know who he is.
You better know who he is. But Charlie Boorman is a name you probably don't know.
Yeah.
And
but you actually probably do know who he is.
Probably do know who he is. He was the younger, and the name just left me.
Excalibur.
Yes, but
he's Mordred.
Mordred, thank you. I was like, I had the name, it was there, and it went away. He's teenage Mordred, and is an English actor, and did a bunch of stuff in his early career. And him and Ewan met on a set and found out that how much they loved motorcycles together, and so they wanted to do a motorcycle trip together. And they said, let's just start in London and end in New York and go east.
Yep.
And they decided, like, well, if we're going to do this, let's film it and let's have a chase crew. And they got it all. And so the story about Long Way Around is them getting it all done and then getting it all organized and then going. And then they did another one from the northern part of Scotland all the way down to
the Cape Town
in South Africa. Two amazing series. We've watched both of them like 6 or 17 times.
It really, you're like, oh, yeah, you get on a motorcycle and you just go. There's a lot of borders, a lot of countries that aren't necessarily friendly, a lot of countries that don't necessarily have roads.
There's sections in Mongolia where they're just driving across the tundra. And they come across the village, and the villagers are like, you hungry?
Yeah.
Come on in. And so they like share food and drink, and Charlie's very picky eater and tried really hard to eat dinner, and the villagers understood and kind of laughed at him and stuff like that. But it was just the whole story, how it was done and everything was just amazing. It's such a cool show. Well, that was 11 years ago, and there's now pictures of the two of them on electric Harley Davidsons, a chase truck with a trailer, and two electric chase trucks, and they're in the southern point of Argentina.
Right. So they're going from
Argentina
up
to LA.
Yeah.
And there's been no press release on this, whatever.
Right.
There was just somebody who happened to be in Argentina, happened to see Charlie and Ewan get off the train together. They're in their bike gear.
Yeah.
And then somebody else found pictures of these Harley Davidson electrical bikes and these electric trucks, and they started putting two and two and two and two together.
Yep.
And we got 17. And then as I was doing the notes for this, there's pictures of Ewan on the bike in this little town in Argentina. So
So that totally makes sense, though, right? That they don't want to make a bunch of fanfare about it because they are fairly popular shows now. People have watched them. So they don't want the word to get out because then they can't actually go anywhere because there's just people all over them all the time trying to...
That was actually, they dealt with that in Long Way Around.
Yeah.
Long Way Down was a little bit different because they were going through African countries and they needed military escort through some parts. But they talked about in some places, Ewan McGregor shows up and he is getting hired to do episode 1 of Star Wars while he's on this trip. So he's on this trip and on the Long Way Around, and he's getting hired. And so this one, they're talking about he's driving to L.A. and then they're going to start filming Kenobi.
Yeah.
And stuff like
well,
that.
in the second one, they actually went to Tunisia, right?
Yeah.
And they went into the cantina, and they're sitting there, and there's a picture of him as Obi-Wan on the wall, and he's sitting there, and no one recognized that it was him.
All right, so we're going to go to break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to do 3 reviews, and we're going to try to do 3 reviews in 30 minutes. So that's 10 minutes apiece.
All right.
I'm not making any promises. All right, we will be right back. Hello, cult members. Like what you've heard on this podcast? then please subscribe and follow us here. You can also find us on Facebook at the Pop Culture Cult. We're on Instagram at PopCultureCult1, and we're on Twitter at Pop_Cult1. We're also on YouTube at PopCultureCult and on the Stardust app under PopCultureCult. Please help us by liking, following, and subscribing to everything we have. This helps us build a bigger and better cult of pop culture. And we're back. Dun, 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 dun. Please do everything that they say in the commercial.
Whatever that was.
Which is pretty much just, subscribe to all the things and share the word and stuff. All right, so let's get into the 3 reviews that we want to do. We've been trying to catch up with stuff, and it's kind of hard when you've been on vacation and sick, and my nose is now decided to start running. We're going to start with one. We talked about it a little bit earlier, the Peanut Butter Falcon. Peanut Butter Falcon is a movie I would have never have heard of if it wasn't for Collider Live, and they had the guys who wrote and directed it come in.
Yeah, yep.
And it is Shia LaBeouf, it is Dakota Johnson, and a young Down syndrome guy by the name of Zach Galbin. It's something like it's Gottle. Galman, I think Galton. I'll go with Galton. And it is Zach, who is has no family,
right?
And the state decides to put him in a facility, and the facility they put him in is a retirement home,
right?
And Dakota Johnson is his
caregiver, yeah.
His supervisor or whatever, and he just wants to leave. He wants to go out and see the world, and his roommate is Bruce Dern, which is, I just want to see a road trip of Bruce Dern and Zach doing stuff. Actually, I just want to see them watching wrestling together. It would be a lot of fun. But Zach gets out and runs into Shia LaBeouf, and Shia is having crisis of faith after having a tragedy happen to him, and he's kind of on the lam for doing some stuff as lashing out. And him and Zach team up and decide to go on this epic, sometimes on the road, sometimes in the water trip, so Zach could go to wrestling school.
Yes.
And it is... I'm not giving it's not a spoilery kind of. No, I'm not giving away the story or whatever. This is the sweetest movie you're going to see all year.
Yes, and he escapes in his underwear.
Yeah,
and
Zach does. Yeah,
it's like, throw your clothes out the window. Okay, so he escapes in his underwear, and like the progression of Shia LaBeouf's character giving him clothes. So first he gets a shirt, and then he gets some pants, and then he gets some wellies.
It's totally that that thing that happens in video games themselves. As you work your way up, you add another piece of clothing and another piece of armor and stuff like that. It's Dakota Johnson is Dakota Johnson. She's always good. I may not like the 50 Shades story, but she's good at it. It's not her fault that those stories are shit. But the Shia LaBeouf, I've never seen him be this open as an actor.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that I've always liked him. I liked him in Battle of Shaker Heights. And if you know that reference, you're watching the right show. And he's amazing in Fury. But I've never seen him be just open. As an actor, he opens himself up to another person who is really in one of his first movies. And they wrote this movie so Zach could be the lead, because Zach always got these roles of being the super special kid and whatever, and he's like, I just want to be in a movie about,
Right. I'm an actor who happens to have Down syndrome. I'm not
a Down
syndrome actor.
Yeah.
And that's what he kept getting cast as, and so they wrote a movie, and he does it a couple times. He does the Tyler. I am Down syndrome person. Stop and listen. So Tyler.
With the Tyler stuff. We're totally buying this movie when it comes out because, oh my God. Shyla is amazing. Zach's performance, his comic timing, and then like all of a sudden, Jake the Snake Roberts shows up.
Yeah.
And Mick Foley shows up because it's a wrestling thing, you know.
We're watching it and I was like, is that? He's like, Mick Foley? And I'm like, yeah.
Mick's got like a full mouth of teeth, full teeth in his mouth. It's like
I think he was missing.
He may still be missing one, but this movie is. I think they spent like $15 million on it. It's already made its money back and then some. The guys who wrote and directed it have been just showing up at random viewings, and just doing a Q&A with people.
Nice.
Just like showing up, like, hey, we're at, like they took a picture of a theater the other day. I'm following Tyler. Tyler's the director, and he's just like, I just showed up to do a Q&A. I didn't tell you I was coming. The lights went down, and I'm standing here. So
nice. Is this getting any Oscar buzz? Any award buzz?
They talked about it today on Collider Live and then on Movie Talk, and both shows separately said this may not necessarily get a big Oscar push because it's not a big studio and the studio won't put the money behind. But they're thinking that maybe because it's doing so well financially that they may be able to put some of the profits and put it into the Oscar conversation. Yeah. We can have a whole diatribe of what the Oscars and the money and stuff that goes with it. But this is one of those movies that it should get recognition.
Yeah.
In the award season. I'll just put it in the award season and be in that. But specifically for original screenplay for like the Golden Globes and stuff like that. I would really like to see that.
I like the cinematography too. It takes place in the Outer Banks of the Carolinas, and I've never been there before, and it's not what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Like there's a scene where it's shot like here's the water and you're almost even with it, and you see them walking along and you can only see them from like here up. And so it looks like they're under, from here down they're underwater, and Zach even says I can't swim. And then when they come in, they're actually on a bank, Outer Banks. Right. They're like on a bank, and the water, the way the water is around them, just seems like it's moving, and
maybe
it was
the tide
weird.
Coming in or something like that.
It was weird.
It's a weird shot
because they're really only ankle deep in the water, but the water around them, it's almost like Moses, or the parting of the Red Sea.
Yeah. The Huck Finn on the raft part of the whole movie. There's a scene where Tyler and Dakota Johnson's character, whose name is Elizabeth. No, I can't remember where it is right now. They are trying to have a private conversation about Zach and what they have to do to have this private conversation.
Because they're all on a raft.
Because the three of them are on a raft. Is fucking hilarious. It's so funny. Let's give it a quick score.
I'm going to give it a 4.
It's 4.25.
Okay.
Odell Beckham Jr. is just going to do a 100-yard touchdown. Sorry, Monday Night Football's in the background. All right, let's go on to our second review, and that is It Chapter 2. Okay. It was 18 weeks ago.
It was. I'm like, I got to think about this for a minute. Okay.
I want to start with they cast this thing perfectly.
Yes.
Like everybody, all the adult versions are exactly what the younger versions are. She's the deep Stephen King fan, like what we're talking about with The Stand. The way they did their transitions to show the time difference, because they were doing scenes with the kids, and in frame they would change the camera angle and it would be the time jump because all the buildings are the same and everything's the same in Derry. And so the kids would be in frame one way, and then the camera would pan and turn and the adults would be there.
Yeah.
And it did that multiple times, and it's a simple time travel trick. And the freaking balloon, the transition with the balloon, and like there's just so many good filmings. Like if you're just a film snob, you enjoy the filmmaking process and stuff like that, this is amazing.
Yeah, and I felt like it was weird, not in a bad way, that it felt very different from the first one, and it's the same director.
Yeah.
And it starts off, I don't remember what the first one was. The one I remember specifically was like there was blood dripping, and it was a scene with the kids, and there was blood dripping down, and then it drips onto adult Beverly's pillow, and then like on her face, and she wakes up or something. And
it was one continuous shot too. It was so well done. It
was very different in that it was very different from the first one in several respects. That was definitely one of them, because they didn't do that at all. I mean, they didn't necessarily have the kid adult
well, the first one is the coming of age,
right? But so they don't. There's
that really.
There's not a place maybe for that. The second thing was this one was way scarier.
It was definitely scarier. Like I was scared, but I didn't have like super nightmare kind of scary kind of.
Right, but just
I did do a lot of watching like this when they were looking for the totems. It's not a spoiler. It's in the fucking book.
Yeah.
But I watched a lot like this when they were finding the totems.
Yeah. A lot more jump scares. A lot more creature scares.
Yeah.
Not just Pennywise. So it was different.
I want to talk about.
Weird.
I want to talk to you about the adult cast. A lot of people were concerned with Bill Hader and Jessica Chastain and I want to say Ewan McGregor, and I know that's not right.
No, not Edward.
James
McAvoy.
Because they're such big A-list guys and actors, you hire them because the three of them have the most emotional hardship to convey. For me, and like adult Beverly as Jessica Chastain as adult Beverly, for the first 3/4 of the movie, is crying in the background.
Yeah.
And just not like weeping and like just straight out, I am sad and I'm crying in every scene.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do, and not everybody can do it.
Yeah.
But the way she is able to convey what the child version of Beverly was as an adult was, and same thing with McAvoy, same thing with like the entire adult cast was able to nail. The guy who plays Mike, adult Mike, is the guy from the Old Spice commercials.
Yeah.
It's look at your ladies, look at your man, now look at me, now look at your man, now look at me. It's the same guy. Which are brilliant commercials, by the way. But just the way they were able to handle all the emotional stuff that has to happen for them to remember, and to deal with all this stuff and everything. And as we were walking out of the theater, I turned to her and I says, "How close was it to the book?" And your response was,
"Well, it's pretty close. There's stuff they can't do."
Right.
Because Stephen was high.
Because I was high. Sorry.
Or drunk. I one of the two.
Yes.
No, it was close enough. I've said this before. I have had my share of disappointing book to movie adaptations for Stephen King.
Right,
I mean,
right.
all of us Stephen King fans have. There were like 2 or 3 out there that were amazing, and the rest were complete shit.
Right, right.
This was wonderful. It wasn't verbatim. That's fine.
But it got the essence of
got the essence.
Yeah.
The only... he's really good at and this is what makes his books hard, I'm sure, to adapt. He's really good at the kind of inner dialogue. You know, and I felt like there was some stuff that kind of got glossed over, or if you weren't somebody that read the book or knew the story, you might not have picked up on. Like they talk about the fact they don't remember, but pretty quickly.
Right.
Why didn't we remember this?
Right.
But it was a pretty quick conversation. James McAvoy's character stutters. They call him Stuttering Bill when he's a kid. He stutters, and then they touched on it a little bit that he had started to stutter again when he came back, but again, not much. And I would have appreciated that they had maybe just
they threw some stuff in
the
dinner scene, like they're focused on one group of people talking, but you can hear the background conversation going on, or they're panning from one group to the other group.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff was kind of covered in that little section too, which is both good and bad. It's good for the Easter egg hunters that like us who want to go back and watch the movie 17 times and catch all the Easter eggs. But for people who are only going to see it once, they're going to miss that exposition.
Right.
That really needs to be talked about. I understand why they did it that way, because if they did it the other way, this would have been 3-hour movies.
Right.
And
we did say that the guy that ran the do I say who the guy was? It's like an antique store.
The guy who runs the antique store is pretty awesome.
Okay,
we can put it that way.
That's fair.
And that scene for the bike is pretty awesome too.
we were like, they totally missed it. It should have been the storekeeper from Needful Things.
Yes.
That should have been the name of that character, and it wasn't. But that would have totally been a Stephen King Easter
and there's a
egg.
ton of Stephen King Easter eggs in there, but. It's going to be one of those, like, we'll have to watch Mojo on YouTube that does Easter egg things like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Or we'll have to go back and watch, like, the director's commentary or stuff like that of the Easter eggs and stuff like that. So let's do a score.
And I don't remember what I gave the first one.
I don't either, but I don't know if it necessarily matters.
Give it a 4.25.
I'm a 4.
Okay.
I'm at a 4. That's not like we're kind of flopped on the last 2 movies, but I really liked it. I'm going to watch it again. We're probably going to buy it. I
to
really,
be fair,
really liked it.
It was like literally 2 weeks ago that we watched this movie.
And if we had done this review the night or the next day or whatever, it would probably have been higher. But for me right now, that movie hasn't stuck with me as much as Peanut Butter Falcon has.
True. Yeah.
I've thought about Peanut Butter Falcon more than I have about it.
Yeah. Well,
and it's not like they didn't like it. I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought it was
I'm
awesome,
giving it a higher score because I'm happy that they're finally fucking doing Stephen King movies right.
Yay. We can have a whole conversation. We might eventually have a conversation about book to movie adaptation, and I can never say that word, but you understand what I'm trying to say. About if you get the essence of the book right, I'm pretty okay with it. They did it with Annihilation. They did it with Ready Player One. They did it with it. Like, I don't need it to be verbatim. I want it to be.
However, to be fair,
close.
Annihilation and what was the other one?
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. No, you read the Ready Player One first. That's true. I was to say Annihilation.
No, I read Annihilation first too.
Did you? Okay.
I did the whole Area X series.
Okay.
I did all 3 books before the movie even came out.
Right.
To get ready for the
Okay.
The Boys. No, it was Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
I read that after. Let's now talk about another adaptation. And that is Carnival Row from Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we're going to preface everything we're going to say here with we have not read the original source material, the graphic novel, books, whatever that it is.
Nope.
And Orlando Bloom and Cara
DuVernay. I don't know how you say it.
I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Were the draw for us for this show. It's fantasy. It's Orlando Bloom. It's
okay. So we originally I don't remember if it was Con that we first saw, and we were both kind of like, okay,
steampunk, fantasy, fairies. I don't know.
And the Dark Crystal dropped at the same time.
Yeah.
And while we were in Vegas, and then we started seeing everybody posting the Dark Crystal series was Carnival Row was amazing.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. It's like, okay, so when we got home, we still haven't seen the Dark Crystal. We watched Carnival Row.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was amazing.
And it's yeah, I'm going to say it. It's an allegory for racism and immigration wrapped in a really fun, cool blanket of the fantasy world.
I kind of felt it was a lot like, and now the name is gone. Will Smith, Netflix, Future.
Bright, yeah.
Brightburn?
No, it's just Bright.
Okay, Bright.
Yeah. With the orcs and the...
Yeah. I felt like it was Bright in the turn of the century.
Yes.
I mean, it's a different...
It's...
Because it's kind of Sherlock Holmesy, too.
Yeah, and you're kind of dealing with...
But the premise is the same.
The premise is there, yeah.
You've got orcs or fairies or... centaurs or whatever those other guys were, living amongst more
people,
normal humans and kind of what that looks like. And
I have so much to say about this show. I've talked about this before, and I'm okay if you want to have if you want to discuss political. Let me back up. Sci-fi and fantasy is made to be a looking glass into modern issues. Sci-fi has always dealt with race relations and poverty control and population
and to push
control.
The conversation, right? I mean,
right.
A lot of sci-fi pushes the scientific conversation as well as
and fantasy does the same thing. I mean, Lord of the Rings is essentially about World War I. I mean, it's so having that understanding, I don't want to get slapped in the face with it. I don't want to get slapped in the face with I go to stuff like this for escapism. It doesn't mean I don't care about what's going on in the real world. I totally do. But I don't want to get smacked in the face with a reminder of how screwy things are in the world.
Yeah.
And how it's not that's not this podcast, but the idea is I want to be able to go away from it. But my favorite genre is science fiction. And science fiction deals with this stuff, and fantasy is my other favorite genre. And when you deal with this kind of stuff in this way, with this wrapping, it makes it easier to have this conversation down the road with your friends.
Right.
Hey, did you watch Carnival Row? Oh, did you see that scene where they're having to convince the higher ups that the fae that's with them is a cool guy, and it's social, ladder climbing and stuff like that. Oh, did you hear about what was going on in the news? So I love that conversation starter, and this did it so well.
It's easier to digest for people who maybe aren't as socially aware, because you're not, those people aren't us, right?
Right.
They're from the past, or in Bright, they're in the future. Those people aren't us.
Right.
And the things they're discriminating against, or the people, I don't know what the proper pronoun is for fairies and orcs. They are not real in our world.
Right.
So it's easier for us to digest the discrimination and to have empathy for the people that are being discriminated against, and because in your mind it's not real.
It's not real. Yeah.
Even though it is.
Totally. and I just love the way they put it out in front of you. This is the main crux of this show is the race issues and the class issues and immigration issues and systemic, like the men were the one who went out and did everything, and the women stayed at home, and you know,
it's Elizabethan era, whatever, turn of century.
All the political stuff that's going on in the world right now, we're all wrapped in this thing, and there's fairies flying across the way, across the world, and there's like the Sherlock Holmes kind of aspect to it, where they're trying to figure out murders, and the set and costume designs. Oh my God. There's a whole episode. It's a flashback episode, and it's the Cossacks. They're essentially the Cossacks.
Yeah, they even have the big hats.
They even have the hats and the big coats, and they're in the snow, and it's like, oh my God, this is so well done. And then they do things that you can't do anywhere else. They show entrails and blood streamed across the floor and dead bodies.
And a centaur human love scene.
Yeah. But then the murders that are part of the main story itself. I was going to try to think of a different word, but the murders themselves, they do them off screen or they're hidden.
Right.
So they're even scarier because they're done where you can't see them.
Yeah.
All you see is the aftermath. And it's like after like the fourth time that happened, I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking amazing. It's beautifully performed. Orlando Bloom shows that he should be in this genre of film, and Cara I liked her in Valerian. I think that their chemistry sucked between the two of them in Valerian, but I thought she was actually pretty good in it.
Her and Orlando's chemistry was much better.
So good. Yeah. And the subplot that was going on the entire time that ends up being the catalyst at the end, and like it's like, like I said, I have a ton to say about this show.
Okay, well, you've got like 2 minutes. At one point, about halfway in, it's 10 episodes?
8 episodes.
8 episodes?
8 episodes, yeah.
Okay, so like 4 episodes, 5 episodes in, you're like, what do all these things have to do with each other?
Yes, we even talked about it.
We're like, okay, these two things I'm kind of getting that's happening, but this story and that, what do those all have? And by the last episode, they've tied them all together. And you're like, oh.
So good. And the giant, huge bow that they leave at the end to say, oh, this was great. Now you get to wait till 2021. Ba-ba-ba. It's like, for those on the podcast, I'm flipping everybody. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's going to be like Stranger Things. We're going to watch it a bunch of times.
And we're going to catch a bunch of more stuff. And I was just going to say that like one of the indicators for us that is a show that we really, really liked is as soon as it got done, we wanted to rewatch it.
Yep.
And this was another one. Stranger Things was this. The Boys was this. Umbrella Academy. And so as soon as it got done, I was like, we could watch it again. Yep. And we might. We might actually end up watching it again. So it is amazingly well done television. And this is what you want out of streaming services. Is this level of detail and production and bigness and a small, intimate story.
Yeah.
And the world is big and stuff.
Yeah.
And
so hopefully Amazon. So they've already said 2021.
I think so. Yeah.
Because that's been my main complaint with Amazon is that it's forever before the next whatever comes out.
I'll confirm that, but I think I did see that it was 2021.
You could do a year and a half max, but like a couple other.
We have 10 seconds.
Okay. 5, 4, 3.
Until next time, cult members, do all the things. Good night now.